All right, y'all. NBA, despite the season being over, remains in the headlines with all the transactions, free agency trades. And I didn't do a specific video when the Rudy Gobert trade took place. Obviously, a lot of takes on it. I would say the vast majority would be, what the hell are the Timberwolves doing? Why did they essentially give up 5 first-round picks for a guy who gets played off the court in the playoffs? And that's generally fair. I didn't really want to talk about the specifics of that trade. I feel like it's been covered. Huge question marks in terms of Gobert's fit with Karl Anthony Towns. Obviously his contract, his age, his ability to, switch on defense, blah, blah, blah. I will say, I think maybe Minnesota will offer more, defense on the perimeter than that Utah team did, especially during the most recent playoffs. But yeah, I think all that has been said. No need to reiterate it. But what I wanted to talk about more was how this Rudy Gobert trade has now completely skewed the trade market for NBA stars. And so now that we have Kyrie Irving on the market, we have Kevin Durant on the market, we have Donovan Mitchell on the market, and 3, arguably better players than Rudy Gobert. Obviously, his defensive impact cannot be, shortchanged, but, ultimately in terms of the impact of a guy, I think they all, have more impact than Rudy Gobert. Now, the problem is there have been very few trades that have the same amount of, draft capital as that Rudy Gobert trade. And, Malik Beasley and Patrick Beverley are not just kind of salary filler. Like, the Jazz, if they want, could probably flip those guys for more draft capital or a young guy in filler. Like, they're also assets. Jared Vanderbilt is a young player who, has some upside and is on, like, a tiny deal. So it wasn't just the draft picks, it was also 3 guys with some trade value. And so when you're trying to, cook up trades for those 3 guys I mentioned now on the market, it's almost pretty much impossible to find something that matches that player's value without, bringing up the question, well, it's like, well, Utah got 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert, so what are you doing giving me, 4 for Donovan Mitchell? Or, Kyrie Irving's kind of his own thing because of, the personality and lack of showing up for work issues. But in terms of specifically Kevin Durant and Donovan Mitchell, when they don't have kind of the off-the-court stuff as much, Kevin Durant obviously has the kind of erratic personality, doesn't seem to want to stay in one place for too long. So you have to factor that in a little bit. But when you're trying to find the right team for those guys, what is the asking price at this point? Danny Ainge almost, by making the Gobert trade so lopsided, has completely shrunk the market for Donovan Mitchell, because I think most teams would value Donovan Mitchell way higher than Rudy Gobert. Obviously, maybe if you're like really gung-ho for analytics, Gobert is going to, be better than Mitchell. But you can't deny Mitchell's a lot younger. He has the playoff experience. He's the ability to score and create at a high, if not elite level. And so, if we can agree Donovan Mitchell is better than Rudy Gobert and you're Danny Ainge, you're also going to make the argument that Donovan Mitchell is better than Rudy Gobert. So you're going to say, give me 4 picks, maybe your most recent draft pick as well. You're going to ask for maybe a really young talent. And, I discussed a little bit before three teams that could trade for Donovan Mitchell that could have some of those young assets and that amount of picks. But at the end of the day, if you're one of those teams, are you really going to gut your future for this guy? I don't know. I think Donovan Mitchell left a bad taste in everyone's mouth this previous playoff series. And so, I don't think I personally wouldn't feel that great giving up even an equivalent to the Rudy Gobert package for Donovan Mitchell. And the same thing with Kevin Durant. I mean, he's, older than Rudy Gobert, making more than Rudy Gobert. Obviously, better than Rudy Gobert, but is he that much better in that, he gets a Rudy Gobert package? I don't know. I don't trust it. I don't think, if anything, at least Rudy Gobert has been durable. Kevin Durant, you have to worry about injuries. You have to worry about, his happiness and his satisfaction. And, Brooklyn basically did everything to Kevin Durant's, liking and preference. And they got the coach. They had the sidekick in Kyrie. And what happened? They brought James Harden in. Gone. So if I'm a team and, Danny Ainge is understandably going to ask for more than Rudy Gobert, I will probably be hanging up the phone. And, if I'm a team and I imagine the Nets aren't offering Kevin Durant much, I'm assuming they're probably fielding calls for the most part. But yeah, if Sean Marks give me a call and says, if Kevin Durant, give me 5 first-round picks, your best young player, and, a solid starter or maybe a star in those picks, I'm hanging up. Like, this is not, I don't care what the Rudy Gobert trade is. I would rather ignore that and try and, actually do a trade based on the player's value. So because of that disconnect, because, Danny Ainge and Sean Marks are going to demand more than the Rudy Gobert package, I don't see any team willing to meet that. There's no way. And then, maybe they give a similar thing and everyone's going to be like, oh, wow, well, you got fleeced, Danny Ainge, because that's what you got for Rudy Gobert and this is what you got for Donovan Mitchell, and Mitchell's a better player than Gobert. So, to be perfectly honest, I don't think any of those guys will be on the move. At least Mitchell and Durant. Kyrie could be a whole different situation with, the Lakers apparently being the one suitor but unwilling to include a second first-round pick. He's his own thing, but I think for Mitchell and Durant, the kind of realistic outcome of them being traded has dwindled because of the high standard that the Rudy Gobert trade has made. And so, as much as we like to conjecture and fire up the trade machine and all that, I really don't see a viable trade happening, for Donovan Mitchell or Kevin Durant anytime soon, until maybe the Rudy Gobert trade leaves kind of the public consciousness for a while and we all get back to, let's, make some fair trades where we, appropriately value players. So how about that? Feel free to disagree if you think those guys will be on the move, if you think a team will be willing to give up literally everything for them. Make the argument. Love to hear it. But for now, take care of yourselves. Take it easy. And I'll see you next time.